Hello, happy Sunday. Hope you're having a lovely day. My name is Dennis, and welcome to my art channel. If you're new here, please do me a favor and hit subscribe if you like the video. We're jumping right into it here. Today is a special occasion, actually. We got the last video of 2025, so we gotta say goodbye in a good fashion. We've got a bit of rough watercolor paper and my favorite brush, the big old oval, and standard palette, what I've been using pretty much this entire year. Starting out, I've got a fair bit of crimson color, just as a backwash, and layering in a bit of blue. Should make some sort of violet in the middle, and then somewhere near the top there. And then I'm just sort of having a little bit of fun with it, dropping some yellow towards the bottom. That should mix into like a lighter color, some orange, right? And just fiddling around, making a start. Not really thinking too deeply about it. Just gotta get a base to build off of, right? I feel like with this final painting of the year, I've got to be as true to myself as I can be, and that means sticking to my gut, using my intuition to its fullest potential, and just having at it. Full focus, no music on my ears for this one, actually, just a silent painting, although, I gotta have some music on the backdrop, on the background for the video. Helps ease the ears. Also, just in case I take a little pause, there's something interesting going on. All these videos I try to do as one take kind of voiceover, so sometimes I do need to take a breath or take a pause and just let the beat take it away. But I have now, back to the painting, switched to a smaller brush. Just a simple, I don't think this is round, it's a little longer than a round. I believe this would be called like a script brush, since it's got that little bit of extra. Would be nice for doing some lettering, potentially, something like that. But I'm trying to use it to make these gorgeous marks, little lines, and a bit of mix going on as well. As usual, this is a wet on wet technique, so I'm not waiting for any of the paint to dry before immediately following it up with the next layer. Sometimes it blends perfectly, sometimes it spreads it spreads the water out and isn't quite what I intend. I feel like with this medium there is quite a bit of not so much freedom, but just like you gotta accept the nature of the medium, accept the nature of the watercolors, that things might not always be placed perfectly. You can avoid that using smaller amounts of water, smaller brushes, and a little bit more finesse. But when it comes to expressing yourself and something like this, just whipping around a brush on a page, gotta be ready that it might bleed a little further than you expected, might not push the color in as far as you thought it would go. You might have a mark like this where instead of leaving behind any pigment, it just spreads the pigment that is already on the page out, leaving like a river of negative space in the painting. And I feel like with some experience, these are choices to be made to affect the aesthetic, right? Does it affect the painting? And how it's assembled. I feel like I try not to have these moments now where I'm kind of over saturated. Gotta have a bit of water, but always wick off the brush on the rim of the glass. Actually, something notable about just the way that I've painted with this specific setup is I've been using this glass for the entire year, and I love it because it's got a narrow neck on the way up, so I can dip the brush, and on the way up it's really easy to hit the side and not forget to hit the side, because too much water is a bad thing if you want to control where the line goes. So I need to hit it and drip off a bit of that excess. Sometimes that's also when I use the wells, right? Just drop a bit of excess water, excess pigment, and then go in with a little bit of a finer approach. That's how I'm able to leave these kind of more narrow lines on top of the other layers while the painting is still wet. Although, I guess with the rough paper, it's drying a little bit faster than it would otherwise. The paper itself does have a bit of a characteristic based on the thickness and the texture, how much water it'll absorb, and I guess at that point how much pigment is needed to deliver a certain effect. I feel like I like this rough paper because you do need to use more water, you do need to use more pigment to get to certain levels of saturation. But because it absorbs so much of that, it's a little bit more forgiving than using the thinner paper with a more hot press type texture. Smooth paper, I feel like, just doesn't hold quite as much water as this type of rough textured paper. Yeah, a little bit of a point, a little thing for the painting. I mean, the type of paper isn't nearly as important as literally just what you're painting, right? But I feel like it's still, it makes the painting. It's what the painting is bound to, so it is a little important. I've figured I feel like it's important. It makes this painting a little different than it would have been otherwise. But I guess it only matters as much as mindful as you want to be to it. You could just grab any old paper, but then when it comes to comparing the two, like if you directly had a hot press and a rough paper side by side, then depending on what you're doing, which would you choose? I feel like for my abstract works, I like this kind of rough texture and how it gives it a bit of a grainy feel in some areas, and I think it adds to the qualities of the painting. But maybe a smooth paper would define my line a little clearer. It wouldn't spread some of the paint out quite as much, and the effect would be different, but maybe stronger in some aspects. But can't know without trying it out, right? I feel like it's been a while. I have mainly been picking up like the rougher style paper, but this has inspired me to pick up some hot press and make a painting. Maybe first of the year, get a hot press going. Speaking of the new year, did want to mention, just a big thank you for being here this whole year. I feel like I've grown quite a lot, both as an artist and content creator here, and I do hope that the quality of these videos have noticeably improved over the course of the year. I do feel like the big thing I notice on these videos is, better thumbnail, better title might gather some more views, but I feel like at the end of the day, like the subject is what matters the most. And let me know what you're interested in. If there's anything you want to see me paint, like the plein air style versus this more at home, straight from the mind kind of style. Always reading those comments, and look forward to a lot of adventures next year. Probably going to be releasing a lot more of the short form kind of videos. Try to grow the channel a little bit that way. Maybe have some extra social media presence as well. Spread it beyond just the YouTube. Try to take it a bit more serious, something to look forward to. So subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like if you like the video, and comment how you feel about the painting. But yeah, thank you for watching. Happy New Year. Peace.